Okay, so first of all, I'm going to do some simple modifications to what we created before in the previous session with respect to the particle effect system that we had for the rocket. So before, if you remember, it didn't really matter if we press any key to activate that particle system or not. We just implemented the auditory aspect of adjusting volumes with respect to movements. So let's go ahead and try to add some mechanisms for the rocket movement. So let's go ahead and open up the movement script. So last session what we covered was this feature about moving, and then made sure that once any key like ASW key was pressed on the keyboard, that reference was set to true so that we can apply additional function with an if condition, simple if condition, to either enable the audio system behind it or stop that audio clip for when the rocket was actually stopped. So that was the part that we modified last session. But for today, I'm going to ask actually you guys to come up with some specific minor adjustments based on whatever you've learned so far, how we can enable or disable the flame or that particle system that was created at the back of the rocket. So what do I mean by that is this guy. So how do we enable or disable this? I'm going to give you some time to think about it, and actually I'm going to provide some bonus mark for this, like, I don't know, half a bonus mark or 1 bonus mark based on who can do this first. And I'm going to give you like 5 minutes or 3 minutes to do that, and then we'll be checking this throughout the class, myself and Omeng. Who has done it first, just let us know and we can see how you're doing.
Is this your old script? You didn't pull? No, I pulled. This is what we have. Okay.
Okay, all right. For the sake of time, I'm just gonna continue where we started from this session to add and enable actually that flame behind the rocket. So one of your friends here was able to do that. Basically, this is going to be a little bit simple. At the end of the variables that you've declared here inside the movement script, I'm going to declare another one for a reference check for the flame game object within the Unity editor. So I'm going to go ahead and call that like this, public game object flame. And then it's going to be pretty simple. You're going to use the set active function, and then we're going to actually use this is moving reference as a Boolean reference for us, since we are trying to refer to the input keys from the keyboard and use that to enable or disable the flame. We're going to just refer to this to make it more simpler. You can go ahead at the bottom of all of these references for the key inputs and then add on an if condition. And then let's just make sure that the flame is set to not be null, and then use that flame reference and set active function and refer to that is moving Boolean, which is either going to be true or false during different stages of pushing, selecting the key. Yeah.
Would it make more sense to put it in the is moving if statement we already have for the sound?
What do you mean by that?
In the update, there's if is moving that activates the sound. I just added it to that.
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah, you can do that for the sound. Yeah, you can do that. I mean, there's not just one way to implement this whole thing. I just wanted to refer to that isMoving reference that we created before, and then that's even another simpler way to do it. So what I'm going to do next after this is actually trying to rip apart this whole script that we've created so far, since this was an initial attempt to create the whole experience for the rocket movement. So we enabled and included all the input systems, the movement functionalities, and everything combined within one script, which is not the perfect way to do it. So today what I'm going to do, actually the scripts are all provided for you on the canvas. You can refer to that for full description. I might go a little bit faster today to be able to cover everything in time. But basically what I'm going to create today is navigating to Unity and add another script here on the script folder for Input Manager, and separate all the inputs from that movement script, and then only keep the movement mechanism, the audio aspects of the rocket, the particle system, and so on and so forth. That is all relevant to the rocket itself. So let's go ahead and do that. First of all, let me retract this and create another script inside scripts folder. Let's go ahead and call it Input Manager. Go ahead and double click on it to open up. Where did it go? Okay. So what I'm going to do here first is get rid of the start method. I'm going to keep the update method here because we're going to do some adjustment inside that. And then at the top of the class, we're going to declare a bunch of different variables as references to what we've had in the movement script before. So what we're going to do is creating all of this inside the Input Manager and refer to that back as instance through a single-tone approach in the movement script. So first of all, let's go ahead and create that single-tone version of the Input Manager, public static Input Manager instance, and then we're going to define a bunch of different variables. First of all, a set of booleans, public boolean for move up, which is basically representing the W key, and we're going to repeat that for the other 4 keys as well. And then inside that, I'm going to implement something new. So basically, we're going to get started with get private set and close that curly bracket. So this is the first time that I'm introducing this functionality. We refer to it as, let me just bring up the slides here for additional notes. So the way we declared that was using the get private set, and that refers to a public accessor rather than a simple variable declaration. So the difference between the two is that you're going to create like something that you would see in a Word document. If you don't have the privilege to edit the document, you're going to get some pop-up warning saying that it's only going to be read-only and you cannot do any edits. That's pretty much doing the same thing here. So with get functionality, you're referring to allowing other scripts within your game to be able to read through this script and be able to have access to that. But when you set a private set at the second part, you are referring to having that modification part being private only to the Input Manager or any script that you are implementing this within. So this means that any adjustments for those variables that we're declaring there is going to be only applicable inside the Input Manager. So for instance, if you're doing a public Boolean is shooting reference and using get private set, any script can get or read through that is shooting variable that we created, but then and this is an example that how you can access it. You can use the input manager instance and then refer to that input is shooting variable and then do whatever you want inside that. But only the input manager script can modify or adjust that is shooting value. So you can define it however you want. Either going to be get mouse button down or whatever that is that you have in mind to be able to adjust and modify the way the variable is set. So is this clear? Any questions on this? Yeah.
Does the modifier, like at the beginning it says public, if you change it to private, would that affect that?
Yes.
Yeah.
So basically, the difference is somehow clarified here for you. The difference between a public variable, the old traditional way that we did it before with public boolean is shooting without any accessor. But here, with the get set private set, we are modifying that with the difference that is clarified here. So before, the other scripts was able to both read and modify, but here in this method, you're not allowing other scripts to adjust any values there. So hopefully that's clear for you guys. Let me just navigate back to the script. So I'm going to repeat this 4 times. But each time I'm going to change this to different values. For the S key, we're going to call it move down. For the D key, we're going to call it move right. And the last one, move left. The rest of it is going to be similar. Then after this, what I'm going to do next is going to define actually a bunch of different float variables for the vertical and horizontal axis of the mouse. And we're going to remove that later from the movement script. So let's go ahead and do that. Public float horizontal look. And then do the same here. For vertical look. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to refer to the mouse clicks. So we had the right click on the mouse when we wanted to enable the rotation, and the left click when we wanted to shoot the bullet. So again, another 2 Boolean type of variable that we were going to create is first is rotating as the reference, rotating. And then repeat that for is shooting. Save your script. Again, I'm going to go fast paced because there's going to be only 15 to 20 minutes left. You can watch the recording after the session or refer to the scripts that are all provided on Canvas. So make sure to have this all set up. Let's go back to defining the instance of the singleton approach. So we're going to define another awake method, pretty much similar to what we did before. So private void awake. And then inside that, you're going to just call this instance. Next, we're going to refer to all of these variables that we declared here and define them inside the update method to be able to actually get the input with respect to the keyboard inputs, the WASD keyboards inputs. So what we're going to do next is defining the movement inputs. And then inside that, we're going to define each and every single movements with respect to any keys. So before we had W key, and then we're now defining it with move up. We're going to continue with that, move down with S key, and right and left. Make sure to have the correct letter assigned to it. So left with A, right D, S down, and W up. Next, we're going to define the mouse movement. So let's make sure to keep things organized. Mouse movements with some comments. And then inside that, we're going to define the horizontal look to get the axis of the mouse, the x-axis of the mouse, and similar to that, the vertical look to get the y-axis of the mouse. These are pretty much similar to what we did before inside the movement script. So if you refer back to here, you would see all of this as if conditions. Now we are making sure that this line is going to be removed after all the modifications inside Input Manager, and we are only keeping the actionable items like applying the force or setting the reference values to true or false, and we're also removing and getting rid of these variables here as well. So let me see what was left. Now we're going to define the mouse keys. So is rotating equals to input. So if you remember from the past, 1 would represent the right click on the mouse, and 0 represents the left click. So for rotation, we're referring to input get mouse button 1, and for shooting, since this is going to be only applied as soon as you click on the mouse, we're going to add the method get mouse button down, only to execute that once per each click. Make sure to save this script. So I guess that's pretty much it that we want to define with respect to the Input Manager. Now let's get back to the movement script and update the stuff that needs modification. So first of all, we're going to remove the horizontal and vertical, or you can comment them as you see fit, since we had that inside the Input Manager. Then we make sure to have the flame thing here as well. All the variables are declared. Then inside the update method, so we're not going to change anything on the start method, since this is all about locking the cursor, and you won't be able to see it as you're playing during the game. But inside the update method, we're going to adjust these if conditions. So instead of referring to it like this, we're going to update this with another if condition. And then inside that, we're going to refer to the Input Manager instance move up. So here before was the usage of W key. Now we are referring to the Input Manager instance move up. Let me see why we are getting an error here. Oh, we should actually get back to Unity to apply the Input Manager. So let's go ahead inside Unity and create that. Wait for it to compile the code. And apply an empty game object for the Input Manager. and then make sure to add the input manager component to it, the script that we just created. Save this script.
Is it just because it's capitalized?
I'm not sure. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think did we declare it like higher up in the input manager?
What's that, sorry?
Is it an instance variable in input manager? And I think when you declared it initially, it was a lowercase.
Inside the input manager?
Yeah, like scroll up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't want to say that. Now we're good. Okay. Thanks for catching that. So next we're going to repeat the same step for every single if condition that we had here before. So instead of move up for the S key, we're going to use the move down. Move right. And move left. Okay. Next, we're going to remove this whole 2 lines for horizontal and vertical, since we have it already defined inside the input manager. But that means that we're going to also adjust some of these scripts here inside the get mouse button for applying the relative torque for using those vertical or horizontal values. So what we're going to do here is basically again modifying this line of code with another instantiation of the input manager, but instead of using the move up, this time I'm going to use rotating. And then inside the add relative torque, the vertical is going to be replaced by vertical look. Actually, we're going to use the instance of the input manager first. So input manager dot instance dot vertical look. And then for the turn torque, instead of using the horizontal, we're going to copy and paste this. This time we're going to refer to horizontal look times turn torque, and then the last one is going to be set to 0. Okay, again, saving the script. We're going to keep this part, which is all about the play movement sound and stop movement sound, so nothing to be modified there, but rather the last line for the instantiation of bullet. We're going to replace this with another method, since it doesn't make sense to have the instantiation of bullet inside the movement script, but rather we're going to change it back to be in place for the bullet script. And then we're going to declare a method inside bullet and then refer to that method here. So let's just go ahead and do all the modifications here inside the movement script, and then we're going to define that method later. So for this input, let's just set to is shooting. And then let's just remove the whole thing inside this. So what I'm going to do is actually define another method. So let's go ahead and do that. Refer to bullet dot fireball fire bullet. So that's the thing that we're going to define as a method. And then the rest is correct. Bullet prefab, bullet spawn ref, and shoot force. So these are going to be declared inside that method inside the bullet script. And that's pretty much it. So right now, because the method is not defined yet, navigate to bullet script. If you haven't opened it up, you can navigate back to Unity and open it up. The script here inside the bullet is not going to be changed that much, but rather towards the last line, we're going to declare another additional method. So inside the outside that. So let's go ahead and add a comment for it, handling bullet shooting. And then we're going to declare all the variables and everything that's required for it here without any modifications to the top. So let's go ahead and declare the method first, public void static void fire bullet. And then inside that, you're going to define a bunch of different variables that are required inside the movement script. So first of all is the game object called the bullet prefab. Let's just go ahead and accept all of this and double check everything is correct. Bullet prefab, transform bullet spawn. Let's just change the name here. And then for the bullet speed, we're gonna just keep it as speed. And update any instance of it inside the code. So once you want to actually instantiate the bullet, pretty much similar to what we did before with the instantiation function, first you need a prefab reference of it, then you need a position and rotation of the transform component that you're referring to. So all of these parameters and variables that are declared here are going to be directly used here, so no need to actually define them on the top of the script. So spawn point, which is defined here, you're going to refer to the position of it and rotation, and you're going to get the rigid body component of the bullet, and being able to use that to apply the add force method to be able to actually shoot the bullet outside the rocket. So let me just double check everything is properly set. Actually, let's just add another function at the end to destroy the bullet, and then give it like 4 seconds. I guess that should be pretty much it. So now if you navigate back to movement script, that error for the method should be resolved. Make sure to save all of the scripts and navigate back to Unity, wait for it to compile. So we didn't change much behavior inside the Unity, but rather just polishing up or organizing our code so that we can refer to it easier later. So let's just go ahead and hit play to make sure everything is working properly, just like before. So you should be able to just shoot at these different game objects. And that's pretty much it. Any questions? Yeah. Can you come here, please, louder?
Could you just go back to the script?
The script,
You
yeah.
added one line, I didn't.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay.
This line. So inside the bullet script, we just made sure to destroy the bullet, that's all. Any other questions before we finish off the class? All right. So that's it for today, and then we come back next week, mainly focusing on user experiences and playtesting, since that's a major component that's required for your final project. All right. Thank Thanks for today and have a good rest of your day.